All right. Well, good morning, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us for this episode of Work Vibes. Today we are focused on nursing, and we have joining us quite a few nursing instructors from Halifax Community College, along with some nursing students at Halifax Community College. And then we have a nurse who has taken a different route than many of us think about, Tonya Hasty, who is joining us as well. So I've got some questions to ask this crew, but I want to encourage you guys, if you have questions, to put them into the chat box. And if we hopefully we'll get a chance to answer them during this session, but if not, we'll make sure you get the answers later. So we only have 15 minutes, so we're going to go ahead and dive right in. I want to start with a question for one of our instructors, Maria. Maria, can you share with us what inspired you to become a nursing instructor, and what do you find most rewarding about teaching future nurses?
So I was a graduate of Halifax Community College, and I had great instructors. My instructors were so supportive at that time. I had two small children, but they really encouraged me to pursue nursing, and they did not. The impression I had from them was, yes, it can be a career, it can be a rewarding job, but it's also more on patient care, helping my patients, trying to be a patient advocate.
Yes, that's wonderful. Thank you for sharing that. And Maria has with her on the screen a couple of students who are in the program right now. So would both of you mind sharing with us what has been the most challenging skill to learn so far in your training, and how are you working to master that, or how did you master that if you already have?
So for me personally, I would say it's physical assessment, just because that is such an in-depth topic, and the importance of it is it matters a lot, no matter where you are and what kind of nursing. And we say head to toe assessment is head to toe. So for me, making flashcards with step by step each piece of the process. And I have a wonderful fiance who is kind enough to play dummy for me, and so I'll go through my spiel with him, and that helps.
Yeah, that's great. You have a support system. That's
Yeah.
really helpful in getting through that, I'm sure. Yes. Would you like to share as well to our other student with you? Um,
Yes. Um, the one thing I found that was challenging when I first began was to take a blood pressure manually, which took some time, but I finally mastered it. It's very important and critical for a patient that you get the correct blood pressure, because it could mean the difference between life or getting, what you need.
yeah, that's a really good point. And that can definitely, sometimes the manual parts of jobs can be harder for us than just having the knowledge, can it? So
Mhm.
thank you for sharing that. Let me ask Kara and Tia, who are instructors with HCC, how does the program prepare students for real world situations like handling patient care under pressure or working as part of a healthcare team?
So all of our students go to area facilities. They go to ECU North. Some of our second level go to, we call it Big ECU down in Greenville. So a variety of hospitals, a variety of healthcare settings where they take care of real people and real emergencies. So they get a taste of what it's going to be like. We also like to send our students into other areas so they understand what the whole team is doing in healthcare. So they may go to quality improvement, they may spend some time with respiratory, radiology, physical therapy, dietary, so they understand what all is involved, not just with nursing, but how the other players are important and affect their job.
Yeah. And we also have opportunities for simulation, which is where instead of, necessarily taking care of a real person, you can take care of a mannequin who could give you real life responses, and you can do that in a safe environment where you are able to make mistakes and learn from those, so that when you do go into real world practice, you won't make those same mistakes again.
Yeah, I've seen some of those simulators. It's amazing some of the stuff that you can do with those. And you guys made a good point about there being, lots of pieces of nursing and lots of different ways to go about it. When most of us who are not in the industry think about nurses, we think about the nurse at the doctor's office or maybe the nurse at the hospital, but we don't think about all the different things that nurses can do. And that's why I'm so glad to have Tonya Hasty with us. She is a local nurse who has actually taken a little different turn with her career. So, Tonya, would you share with us a little bit what made you decide to pursue your career and how that journey led you to owning your holistic wellness business?
Yes, can you hear me okay?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
So I guess probably the turning point from traditional nursing for me was during the pandemic. So I was inspired to go back to school, especially seeing the need for more providers and just furthering my education. That was initially where I realized I wanted to go past just nursing and focus in on nurse practitioner.
Yeah, that's awesome.
As far as owning my own business, so God ordered every step of my journey. He provided me with a job that was supportive to furthering my education, and a family that helped me along every step, and then the actual opportunity to start my own business as well. So I would encourage these nursing students to try different types of nursing, because I graduated in 2006 and did a variety of different types of nursing, not the job hop, but if you're given an opportunity to float to another department or something like that, you never know what your calling is. Don't say, I don't want to do, I'll use myself for an example. I always said, I don't want to do cardiac. And I ended up right in the heart of cardiac, and I loved it. So I always thought I hated it. And after a few years of different types of nursing, I ended up right where I thought I didn't want to be. So definitely try some different things. You never know where you'll go with that.
That is great advice, Tonya. Thank you for sharing that. And you just kind of mentioned some of the skills that are available to nurses or that nurses have. Can you share some of the technical skills that you use in your work now and how you develop those skills during your training?
So that's a great question. Owning your own business means wearing multiple hats all of the time. So the list of technical skills is actually endless. I would say as far as the nursing technical skills though, the basics still remain essential, like assessment and triage and things like that. But along the way in my business, I picked up secretarial skills, business skills, income versus expenses, supply ordering, just a variety of things that as nurses, we don't have to worry about those things. I always remember myself, like if somebody maybe would come in the ER and say, oh, well, I have Medicaid or I don't have insurance, I would say, that doesn't matter to me. I don't need to know that as a nurse. But now, as owning my own business, I do need to know that and I need to understand that fully. So I would say still the basics, but just adding to those skills as far as owning my own business.
Yeah, and I think that's a really good point. A lot of young people and probably a lot of the folks who are on here today are interested in being entrepreneurs. And so I love that you've taken this skill of nursing and been able to create your own business from it. I'm going to ask you first, Tonya, and then we'll ask a couple other people too. But when we think about employability skills, those skills that everybody needs in order to be a good employee, communication, teamwork, adaptability, what are some of the skills that you think are critical to success in nursing?
Definitely being able to multitask, and you'll learn that in nursing school, and then you'll learn that when you get out, and then you'll learn that even more if you decide to do your own business. And then as far as owning your own business, self-motivation. So when I first started this, my stepdad owns his own business, and he said, you will never get away from it. And I thought, oh, I never get away from my job now. As nurses, we think about our patients after work, we document when we get home, stuff like that. But it is truly a different kind of not being able to get away from it. So you have to love what you're doing, which I do right now. I absolutely love this part of nursing. But just the multitasking and the communication always important, because you're still assessing your patients. You have to learn to listen to them even when they're not saying anything.
Oh, yeah, great point. Thank you. Do some of our nursing instructors want to chime in on employability skills and what's important in nursing?
I think it's important that you are dedicated and that you're willing to grow. You're not always going to know everything, no matter how long you've been a nurse. So, especially as a new nurse, you're going to wonder about a lot of things, but that's part of what makes being a nurse great, is because you have that spirit of just wanting to find things out and knowing that healthcare is constantly changing. So there's not a one and done. You're always learning. And I think you need to have that passion to want to learn in order to be a good nurse too.
Absolutely. Great. Thank you for sharing that. Rhonda, did you have something you wanted to share?
I think I think being willing to always ask the questions, the hard questions, and not being afraid to challenge the status quo, so to speak. If you see something that is not yielding the results that you know it should be, don't be afraid to speak up and try to develop a plan and understand the art of collaboration. People are put around you for a reason, and we need to draw off one another because we each have different experiences. Many of the nursing faculty up here, we all have extremely varied backgrounds in the things that we've experienced in our careers. And there's something to be learned from every person that you meet. And that includes your patient. So, I think that nursing students and even us every day, as working employees, we need to be reminded of that there's always something else to learn.
Yes, that's a great point. Thank you so much for sharing that. We have just a couple of final questions because our time is almost up. These 15 minutes go quick. But let me ask this to our current nursing students. What's one piece of advice you would give to students considering a career in nursing?
Plan your time management skills ahead of time. Get comfortable with knowing your day, planning out your finances, because you need to have that stuff set in stone to be as successful as possible. And you'll make your life so much more difficult if you don't have that already done ahead of time.
Great advice.
The patients that you have will always remember you and always remember your kindness. So just always remember, you could be the first person they see or the last person they see, but always be kind and just know that you're making a difference in their life and they'll never forget it.
Oh, I love that. Yeah, great. Great advice. Tonya, do you have some advice for aspiring students who might be considering a career in nursing?
Well, I would say don't give up, because now is probably the hardest time ever being in school. And like they said, just never be afraid to ask the question. I work with another nurse practitioner and another nurse in here, and we ask each other questions all the time. Never feel like it's going to be, oh, I should know that. Maybe you did know that, but you just need to collaborate with someone else. I believe the only dangerous nurse is the one that thinks that they know everything and will not ask the question. The one that can admit, I don't know, or I forget, or I want a second opinion, those are going to make the good nurses. So don't give up, and definitely do it for the right reason, because on the hard days, you're going to need to remember your why.
Oh, I love that. Thank you, Tonya. Remembering your why. So last question, and this is going to go to Sarah Harris. What opportunities do you see for students entering the nursing field today, and how do you think they can make the most of those opportunities?
I think that the opportunities are endless. That's the beauty of nursing, is that you can pursue what type of nurse you want to be. And that might change. You know, what you start out doing is not always going to be what you end up doing. And I don't know of many other careers that you can have that much versatility with. So the opportunities are endless, whether you want to work, you know, from home, whether you want to work in the hospital or in a community agency or as an advocate, whatever you want to do, the opportunities are there for you as a nurse.
Awesome. Thank you so much. And y'all, that is time. We have spent 15 minutes talking about this, but hopefully it provided a lot of insight for the students who have joined us. We appreciate all of you instructors from Halifax Community College joining us. As you guys can tell, they are a great team and would be happy to help you through the process of nursing school. And thank you to our student nurses who shared their thoughts as well. And to Tonya Hasty for sharing a different path with nursing that students can consider. So I hope you all have a great rest of your day. We will get out the recording to you later. And thank you so much for your time.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Bye, everyone.